Wednesday's quake was the strongest recorded in the Philippines in years. The magnitude-7 earthquake jolted parts of the island of Luzon and left a trail of death and destruction. The Office of Civil Defense reported 5 deaths and more than 60 injuries. The earthquake has set off landslides which killed 4 people in the provinces of Benguet, Kalinga, and Cagayan. One fatality was due to falling structure in Abra. The epicenter of the earthquake was in the province of Abra. Strong aftershocks can still be felt in the province, and residents have opted to spend the night outdoors or in open areas. According to the Philippine Volcanology and Seismology, a major earthquake like this might produce many aftershocks over the course of the following days and could even continue for months. So residents are not taking the risk to sleep inside their homes. Local officials have been setting up tents where residents can spend the night. Aside from damaged houses, buildings, schools, churches, and roads were damaged. There are a couple of roads that were closed, and power and communication lines are now being restored. Local government units and the national government responded quickly. President Ferdinand Marcos Junior immediately ordered the dispatch of rescue and relief teams in provinces affected by the earthquake. Gretchen Malalad, CGTN, La Union Province.
Experts in the Philippines have been for years now predicting what is dubbed the Big One. It's a worst-case scenario of an earthquake from the West Valley Fault, a 100-kilometer fault that runs through 6 cities in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. Now, CGTN's reporter Jack Tinte spoke to the country's Regional Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council on how prepared the country is for such a scenario. The agency spokesperson also spoke about what affected areas can expect from the government in the coming days.
Mr. Mark, this quake is reminiscent of the 1990 earthquake that killed nearly 2,000 people there in northern Philippines. Are local governments prepared at all for a worst-case scenario?
Actually, they are mandated to formulate their contingency plan for the worst-case scenario. Particularly, that the FIVOX has released advisories that sooner or later the big one will happen here in the Philippines. So our local government units are advised to have their contingency plan for a worst-case scenario of this natural hazard. That's why every local government unit has formulated their contingency plan, and they have laid down whatever provisions of this contingency plan just to provide assistance for the communities, like what are the things to be done, what are the preparations needed, and how can we communicate, how can we coordinate with other member agencies if this worst case scenario will happen. So every local government unit is mandated to formulate their contingency plan, particularly worst case scenario for this earthquake disaster.
Just one last question. What can we expect from the government, from government agencies moving forward?
Yes, as I have mentioned a while ago, the Regional DRM Council is already in red alert status, wherein the resources, the assets, and whatever the provisions the Regional DRM Council and at the same time the national government will provide, there are a lot of assistance we could provide to these affected communities, like the food items, the non-food items, and of course the financial assistance to those affected communities. So we are already acquiring the data we are needing so that we can know what are the particular basic subsistence needs of these affected communities, so that we can provide properly the needs they are asking from the government.